Hi there, I'm Andy Malone. I'm a Microsoft MVP as well as a Microsoft certified trainer. You know, keeping your stuff safe on the internet can be a bit of a challenge. So that's why Microsoft 365 has got some fantastic tools. But you need to know how to set them up. And in this week's episode of All You Need to Know, I'm going to show you how to keep your stuff safe. Let's take a look. Okay, so a good place to start is the Admin Center. Now, if you don't have access to the Admin Center, then of course you can have a chat with your local network administrator. If you do have access to the Admin Center, but you're not sure how to find your way around, then may I recommend, I've recorded this is my YouTube channel. I recorded a number of videos here recently, and this is a great one for you guys. So getting started with Microsoft 365, and also in terms of sharing files and documents out within your organization, you may want to take a look at the SharePoint Online for Beginners session. But in the meantime, assuming that you have had a look at that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with my administration center. And in order to keep my stuff safe, one of the first places that we can go is I'm going to go down here and I'm going to go into compliance. Now, of course, in the security and compliance area, I'm then going to go into policies, and this is where I'm really interested in. I'm interested in two things. One, it's called data loss prevention policies and data retention policies. So first up, data loss prevention policies. What this does is it basically prevents data from leaking outside of the organization. So let me give you an example. So for example, if you were working on sensitive information such as privacy information, credit card numbers, medical, and so on, the last thing that you want is you don't want this data leaking outside your organization. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose privacy as an example, and I'm going to come down to, let's say, the UK Privacy and Electronic Communication Regulations, or the UK Data Protection Act. So you can see here that I'm looking for national insurance numbers, social security numbers, UK passport numbers, and bank SWIFT codes. And what I'm doing is by creating what we call a data loss prevention policy, it prevents this data leaking outside of your organization. So I'm going to say, yeah, I'm happy with that. I'm going to click next. I could say, I'm going to call it UK data protection, and you could put in a little explanation there. I'm going to click next. And now it says, okay, you're looking for that information. Where do you want to protect it from? So at the moment, I'm excluding nobody. So I'm going to include all locations. So again, OneDrive accounts, SharePoint websites, Exchange, Microsoft Teams, and so on. Now you can see it's including everybody except. Now I can go in here and I can obviously configure that if I want to. Now I'm just going to click next. I'm going to accept those changes. And you can see we have this kind of metro line system here. It's detected the data that I'm going to look for. I'm going to click next, and then it says, okay, detect when this content, anything that contains this personally identifiable information, is shared outside my organization. So that's the one I'm going to go for here. And I'm going to say detect how many occurrences of this. I'm going to say once, because I want to know right away that this is being flagged up. Okay, now it says here, when content matches the policy conditions, show the policy and tips. Now what that means is if you're using Microsoft Office, so Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and you're writing an email and it detects a piece of personally identifiable information, you will receive a yellow banner at the top of the screen, and it will warn you. And then you can decide, you can customize this, of course, but you can decide what you then want to do. So there's two actions that you can perform. One, it will just be a kind of, hey, hang on, are you sure you want to do that? Or are you you can automate the process and say, don't allow this personal content outside my organization. So I can restrict access to this content because it is sensitive, of course. So I'm going to click on that. And now it says, okay, so what do you want me to do? I'm restricting and encrypting the content. So I'm blocking these people from accessing SharePoint and Teams content, basically everybody outside my organization. And again, let people who see the tip, you can either override that policy or you can say, no, I don't want my users overriding my rules. So again, it gives you the control there. Now you can see if you do let people override, you can also click this little checkbox, require a business justification. So, you know, perhaps I have to send you some personally identifiable information in an email. Maybe it's about a customer. But the fact that I'm overriding the rule, it's now saying I have to put in a justification, and that is audited for legal purposes. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to accept that and I'm going to click next. Do you want to test the rule out first, or do you want to turn it on right away? I don't see the point of delaying. Let's go ahead and turn that on right away. So you get a quick review, and now I'll go ahead and click on submit. So there we go. I have now created a new classification policy. Okay, so that's the first thing. Now, that's of course one way that you can protect yourself. The last thing that I want to show you, or the next thing rather I want to show you, is something called data loss prevention policies. So again, you can create a label and you can also add that label to a label policy. So what I'm going to do here, you can see I've created some labels here and some policies. What I'm going to do, however, is I'm going to go into the retention policy here, and I'm going to create a new retention policy. Now, I'm going to click into here. I'm going to call this my Sterling policy. Okay. So in my Sterling policy, I'm going to say, okay, do you want to retain the content? So anything that contains the Sterling policy, for example, it might be, let's say a Sterling tax policy. So for legal and compliance reasons, I need to keep tax information for 7 years. Okay. Now you have some options here. So retain the content based on when it was created or when it was last modified. So if you, from last modified, if you go with, let's say it was modified or it was created on the 1st of December and it was modified on the 31st of March the following year, then it would be 7 years from the 31st of March. You understand? Okay. So for the purpose of this demo, I'm going to just say when it was created. Do you want to delete it after that time? You could say yes or no. Or the other option is, do you want to just delete the content if it's older than a year or 7 years? And again, you have those options when it was created and when it was last modified. Okay, so I'm going to switch this label on. It's a tax record for longer than 7 years. I'm going to click next. Again, now the nice thing about this is you can use all Microsoft features. So when you switch it on here, it's like the one ring that rules them all, if you will. So yes, I'm happy with that. Do you want to apply the policy in only Exchange folders, groups, or you can choose? So I'm going to say, no, let's go for it all. Let's Let's add them all in. So I'm going to click comply, create the policy, and there we go. We've now created a data loss prevention policy as well. Now, in terms of security, one other place that I would like to show you, I'm going to go into my OneDrive, and we all know what OneDrive is. Now, as I mentioned, I did a sharing video, and it was in the SharePoint Online Beginners video. So definitely check out that video. In the meantime, this is from the end user perspective. What can you do to protect your data? So again, you are the last line of defense for your company. So for example, if I have a document here and I want to share this document, again, I can click on the little ellipse here. I can obviously share this document out. I can copy the link. Now, when you share a document out in Outlook, by default, it says people with this link can edit. So be very careful with that. So you may not want somebody editing this. So again, you can specify what type of user can get access to this. So people in the Contoso company, people with existing access, or only specific people. The people with existing access could be, for example, guests as well. Now, I'm going to say people in Contoso, are you going to allow editing? And this is the magic option. So if you don't want your users changing your document, remember to take that checkbox out. You can also open the document in review mode. So again, they can't make any changes or do anything with it. And you can also, this is kind of new as well, you can actually block a user from downloading this document. So it could be sensitive information. They can view it online. They can't make any changes, but they're not allowed to download a copy for themselves. Okay, very good security. So definitely apply those changes before you copy the link. All right, very good advice. All right, because remember, with no security, once that file's out there, it's like the Wild West. So remember, be responsible when you're sharing your content out. So that's Microsoft OneDrive. Okay, now, if I go back into my 365, what I'm going to do as well is one of the nice things that 365 gives you is antivirus and anti-malware. I did this in a previous video, the security video that I did. Again, it's on YouTube on this very channel. But you can actually go into the security settings. Again, another couple of settings that you'll find really useful. If I come into threat management in here, and I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to go into policies. So in the policies here, again, this depends on the plan that you have with 365. This particular demo is an E5 demo. So all customers get anti-spam, enhanced filtering, anti-malware, and so on. However, if you've got an E5 or Enterprise Mobility and Security, you will also get access to ATP, Advanced Threat Protection. And this is fantastic because you've got anti-phishing tools. So is this email actually coming from your boss, or is it being spoofed? We have something called safe attachments. So safe attachments scans attachments. So again, if they're potentially malware, the last thing that you want is hitting that user's desk. And also something called safe links. So how many times have we clicked on links that have come in through emails or chat messages and later regretted it? Again, these features are absolutely fantastic. So definitely take a look at some of the security features in Microsoft 365. I hope you found that useful. So there you have it, some of the very cool security features as part of Microsoft Office 365. Now, if you want more information, go to docs.microsoft.com. They have all the definitive guides and how-tos there. And bearing in mind that I'll have another video again for you real soon. So if you want to subscribe, go ahead, click on that button up there. In the meantime, you stay safe out there. See you next time.